Ooh, there shone a shiny logo in the middle of the road. Well, hello everybody. I just thought I'd give you an update on what's happening with the current recordings. As you can probably hear, my voice is considerably different to how it normally sounds. I've kind of had a bit of an issue with my throat in the past couple of weeks, so recording's been put on hold until I can actually get some semblance of my voice back. The current uploads are set and sorted until May, so the How It All Began series is going to continue as normal. However, the Dragon General, I wanted to do the recordings for the rest of it, and unfortunately I've only done the first part before my voice has changed considerably. So I'm at the moment at a bit of a loss as to whether to re-record it with my new frog-based voice, or whether to wait until my voice resettles again and then re-record, and obviously record the rest. So at the moment, all I can do is upload the first one as is, so you guys can check it out, see what you think, give me some feedback. But fingers crossed, my voice will be back to semi-normal soon. Otherwise, I'm afraid you're gonna have to get used to frog chorus because this just sounds strange to me. So there you go. I just thought I'd keep people updated. In addition, if you notice, there are now several new playlists. Now, I do other things in addition to the Emanon series. There are horror writings, there are sci-fi writings. There are quite a few different things. So what I've done is I've put up different playlists as placeholders, and things will start appearing in there slowly as things are recorded, and of course this frog decides to take a vacation. But I'm hoping I can get things up in short term, so you'll have more content to look at. In addition to that, you may also notice that there's a playlist that's going to be there for things like the natural world, things like animals, the scenery around us, in general life outside of sitting in front of a computer. So you may see more relaxing things on that section on the playlists. And in addition, there's also one which is dedicated to other creations that aren't writing based. So we're talking things like artwork, sculpture, uh, physical creations of all sorts of randomness, as well as obviously in there there's also going to be lumped in the cosplay things like prop making and stuff like that, which I've actually been asked by quite a few people to put up. So I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm actually going to begin putting some of my misgiven creations up. Whether or not they're up to scratch, up to par, or up to anyone actually liking them is neither here nor there. I've had enough people bug me about it and poke me with large sticks for many months now. So I figured it might be time to take the plunge and throw some stuff up there so people can have a good laugh at it, poke fun, or just generally get a kick out of realizing that no matter who does anything, it's not as bad as mine. If it helps someone in some way to realize that their things work or they can do it better, then that is brilliant. I'd rather put my stuff out there to give other people more confidence to do things, if it helps. I mean, if it helps one person, it's a bonus. So I'll stop putting stuff up to do with that soon. Although you might find some of it kind of silent for a while, as in, I'm hating this voice. It sounds strange to me talking, let alone listening to it on playback, and it's driving me nuts. I just want to get rid of the throatiness. It's all over the place. Sometimes it's like this, other times it's considerably lower, sort of like Earl Jones low. It's just really bothering me because I can't get a consistent speech out. I could record this in like 20 minutes time, but my voice could be kind of more like this, or I could record it like in 3 hours time and it'd be really, really considerably, I can't do the voice, but it'd be considerably higher. So I can't get a consistency for reading currently. So like I say, I've got to put that on hold, just temporarily until I can get my voice stabilized. But as far as things like the cosplay and the artwork goes, I don't really have to do a voiceover for any of that because it's purely a visual medium. I'll put some sort of descriptive things in there and how sort of like a step by step as best I can. But yeah, I don't don't expect the frogs to be arriving. I want them. I want them to go back to the pond, out of my way, so I can get on with things and not be disturbed by all day long because it's driving me crazy. So, with all that rambling said, and I'm sure a lot of that made no sense to many of you, and to some of you, you'd probably be thinking, why do that? That's mental. But either way, I'm going to put some more stuff up of a different variety, just to give people something to watch, laugh, listen, or poke fun at. So it's just additional feathers in the bow, as you might say, or arrows. Yeah, that phraseology was wrong. But hey, um, just bear with me. Let my voice get a bit better again, so I can continue the additional recordings. As far as the How It All Began series, though, the first section of that, which is what you're currently listening to, that's all been recorded already. So that's just literally a case of me editing and putting it up. So that's not at risk of anything currently. That's all done, recorded, set, and is just ready to basically splice and put up. The TDG, basically the Dragon General, it's written. The first section's all written up. It's all sectioned off. There's 10 to 12 parts off the top of my head that need recording. So this is where the problem's coming in with my voice, and yes. And then I've got another series which I've finished as well, which is like a short one, which is called The Fall of a Prime, and that's to do with the nameless one, the creature, the demon god hybrid that's a part of or the main focus of How It All Began. It's basically his attempts to take a prime, but that prime has something on it which people who know something about the worlds and realms that I'm actually talking about know of a place called the Dragon Necropolis, or basically the grand home of the dragons, where there's a huge library which contains the knowledge of thousands of primes. It's basically like a massive central location for knowledge for draconic creatures and those who are capable of travelling between the planes. And if he ever got that, then it'd be game over for most of reality, because he'd have access to every piece of knowledge that's been gathered over millennia from every single prime. However, he finds it, attempts to take it, and the fate of a prime is basically a talk through of what happens. It's another piece of the story of How It All Began. It slots in to a section which hasn't actually been recorded yet, but it slots in to part of that story. So it's one big overarching event system, but it's kind of pivotal in the history, because without that he can't progress much further than you'll find in the How It All Began when that finishes the first section. So without that knowledge, he's kind of on the back heel against everyone else, because they can all work together and he knows nothing unless he can take it. So the idea is that if he can get it, it's kind of like the MacGuffin. He gets it, he wins. And it's all about the efforts of somehow trying to protect that knowledge and what actually happens when he tries to take this prime. And hopefully it'll give some insight to people who have some knowledge of what the future holds. They'll understand what this thing is. But anyone that doesn't, it's all to do with draconic vaults of knowledge, basically, and a city that flies. Flies along the lines of force around the realm, using the magic that powers them. Hopefully people will find it interesting. But that's the third one that's ready to be put up. But that needs recording. And again, frogs can do one. I want to bump my voice back. Like I say, it's not. It'll be, I mean, if I could keep this voice for doing a character, that'd be fine. And then I could just flick a switch and change it. That'd be amazing. But that's not the case. So that needs recording. And I've also got another one I've basically started writing up properly, which is about the origins of someone called Lady Comrie, which some people will already know of who that is. But in short, it's the combined priestess of peace and healing. She's basically the high priest of two churches, which is one of those weird things where it's like, how can you be a high priestess of multiple gods? Surely that's gonna have knock-on effects and wouldn't be allowed. Surely a god wouldn't allow you to follow another god's because you're theirs. It details that and how it came about and who she was before she became who she is, because it's all to do with penance for past crimes, and hopefully it'll make sense once it all comes together. But initially, it might sound odd, and as you listen to the first section, it might be like, well, how does this relate to a priestess of non-violence? And it's hopefully it'll make sense when it comes out in the wash. But yeah, that needs, like I say, that needs recording too. But again, frogs do one. So that's a little lowdown on what I'm currently working on, what I need to get up and done. Oh, and in addition, I've been pulling a few bits of artwork from various places digitally, and as you will notice, hopefully, in the Dragon General Part 1, which I'm about to upload once I've finished recording this, there are a few graphical additions. In short, I've generated a few images which fit certain themes within the episode, and I've just put them up as placeholders for the time being to see what people like, see what the reactions are, see if it fits, if people think how it's working, and I want feedback on it ideally, because I'd like to know whether or not I'm going down the right route with the graphics, whether the images are conjuring the right feelings or thoughts or vistas for people as they're reading it. See if I've hit the nail on the head or if I'm way off mark. I'd love to know where I stand on that so I can improve, because without any kind of feedback, I'm just like throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks, falls through it, rips the paper. I need some kind of balanced ass kicking to find out whether or not I'm doing the right thing or I'm going completely the wrong way. So fingers crossed the artwork will figure in, and future artwork will be done in a similar vein if I get some feedback, as well as placing some of my own artwork in there to represent things more accurately as to what I perceive these characters to be when I created them. And but if anyone wants to send in their own imagery as what they believe things look like, or if they have characters in mind that they have certain beliefs on how they look, that would be fantastic. And I'd like to work with you to basically put that into the videos if possible. So if someone has an idea of how, for example, a specific creature or a specific person looks, if you'd like to send in a piece of artwork on that, then I will give all props to you. I will make sure everyone's aware that it's not my creation, it's someone else's, and I will, with your permission, put it into the videos. And if that character is used, I'll shoehorn it in where appropriate to make sure that exposure's there for the relevant artist, as well as make sure that people get to grips with the idea that this is an art interpretation of what this person could be or does look like. I mean, if someone hits the nail on the head with how it looks and people associate with it, then it doesn't really matter what I think. If people see something different, then that's fair enough. And if more than one person see that, then clearly my brain's not tuned the same way as other people's, which is fine. I'd rather have people's representations than my own, to be fair, because as you listen to something or read something, you form your own image. I'd just like to put something visual in there to kind of pull people or draw people in certain directions to kind of get the brains to, get your imagination moving a bit. I mean, the floaty blue thing, the cloud is nice enough, but it always has been kind of a placeholder for images. So with the Dragon General and other ones, I will be trying to put artwork in to give some sort of feeling. But for the time being, the How It All Began series, I'm going to try and keep just with the cloud. So the idea is you're not missing anything. It's literally just listen to the words. Don't worry about the visuals. However, I may go back and do like a variant version. In other words, go back and take the compilations as they go up and add artwork to compilations as like a secondary compilation. So compilation 1 might be compilation 1 with visuals. So there'll be 2 versions. One doesn't really matter. Well, they'll both be the same content. It's just that one will have a visual representation that isn't the floaty blue cloud. So if you're actually physically watching it, then obviously it'll have some impact maybe on people, or maybe it might be something pleasing to look at. Whereas if you're just listening to it with headphones and you're just chilling while painting, for example, which is I found a lot of people are doing. They're just painting minis and just listening to it in the background, just ignoring the world as best they can. Then obviously the imagery doesn't matter too much. So it doesn't matter which one you'd watch or listen to, because either way it's the same content. It's just that it'd be nice to put something up there that now I've got round the gap and the initial trepidation of putting things up there, and I've got into a kind of I suppose flow of actually getting my ass into gear to put things out there. Then it makes sense that I can go back now I've physically got them up there and just add to it to kind of bring things forward to make them more appealing, if that makes sense. So fingers crossed I don't screw it up and make it look worse than it sounds, if that's possible, because I'm sure by now people are like, why your voice? But yeah, so I just wanted to keep everyone updated, because I figured it was about time I actually did a kind of goof part 2, I suppose. Only this time I didn't goof. This is all deliberate, apart from the voice. But yeah, up to date, that's what's happening currently. I'm going to get everything uploaded as soon as I can, starting with Dragon General as soon as I've stopped recording this, and I'll keep people posted. All you got to do, if you need to know anything, or you want to ask anything, or if you want to complain and whatever, I'm not bothered. Just contact me. There's an email address there, actually on the YouTube section for you to contact me directly, which is karnefos@gmail.com. If you know me personally, then you have plenty of avenues to get hold of me. Be it, well, I'm not going to put the details here, but if you actually do know me in person, then you've got more than enough ways to kick me into gear, basically. Be it a phone call, a text, an email, a message on various platforms, some in tens, or there's plenty of ways of doing it, or just in person for people who know who I am. They can just come and poke me with a stick. I don't mind. But it would be nice to get some kind of feedback, because it kind of makes it feel like I'm actually doing something people are appreciating, instead of just doing it for the sake of me putting it out there, which I'm fine with. It's just that, a bit of a poke for sort of like it's the enthusiasm. When you start to flag, it's nice to get the poke to get you motivated again. So if anyone feels the urge to poke me with a stick and say cheers, or poke me with a stick and go, oi, stop it, stop doing that, do this instead, or whatever it is, then please feel free to do so. That's why the contacts are there. And to be fair, I don't care what kind of feedback it is. To be fair, negative feedback is probably more useful than positive feedback. Because positive feedback, you kind of sometimes get the impression that people are just saying these things to be nice, and then you kind of start second guessing yourself. If I've actually got an issue that people can spot and address, for example, the early recordings, there was a ticking sound which I couldn't hear on my setup. I had to crank the volume up to max and then put headphones on, crank that up to max and amplify it to actually hear there was a ticking sound, because my sound gear is basically crap. However, people were correct, and the two people that pointed that out, I was like, oh damn, I've recorded 200 plus files and you're telling me now that there's a clicking sound. And it turned out it was an audio error to do with the software. It was nothing to do with the mechanical, because everyone kept swearing it was a mouse click. But the mouse I'm using doesn't have an audible click because it's a touch. So it's like, well, that's not possible. And it turns out it was something to do with the settings. And if I spliced anything or did any manual editing in the file, for some reason it put a click in. And it's a known bug with the software I'm using. It's all been updated now. I've not had the clicking since, so not an issue. But I've had to go back and back edit all that and then re-upload stuff. Thankfully, it was caught on the first one or two videos. And then after a day or two of faffing about and editing stuff, it's gone from everything. However, if people hadn't have fed that back, then that clicking would still be evident in every single recording, including this one. So thankfully, people went, oi, that's wrong. That doesn't sound right. Why have you got this? Why is this happening? That's why feedback's important. That wasn't a positive feedback. That was literally a, oi, something's going off. It doesn't sound right. You're screwed up. Why? That's the kind of feedback I need. If something wrong, if something doesn't sound right, if something sounds off, is it tinny? Is it way too echoey? Does it sound like someone standing inside the grand hall of a chamber and it's like echo, echo, echo with every single word? Then tell me. I need to know these things so I can adjust and get the recordings better. If you don't like the way the prose sounds, say something. The feedback helps me to create things more that'll depict things more accurately that people might enjoy more, if that makes sense. Or rather, I could restructure things to make it better. Because for me, this is all still a learning curve. Yes, I may have been writing for quite a few years, but the fact is, most of my writing's been kept to myself, and very few people have seen any of it. So, the people who have seen it are friends, and I assume that, I could be wrong, but most friends would rather not say, mate, that's crap, don't do that, or could you not do this another way because that sounds weird. Most people who just go, oh yeah, that's really nice, I like that, and you don't know whether or not they're being true. Okay, I respect them, the mates that hung around for years, great, but you can never be fully sure whether or not they're saying it because it's you and they don't want to hurt your feelings, or if they're saying it because they actually liked it. Now, some people have read some of my work who've never been exposed to it at all, and one or two of them have been bouncing off the walls like, where's the next part? And one of them's been, okay, but why? One's gone analytical, trying to figure out who's who and what's what in the plot. And several of the other ones are just like, where's the next bit? Whereas I've not had any actual sort of constructive feedback beyond basically awesome, thanks, and questions. There's not been a this doesn't sound right. That doesn't match up. This is weird. This is weird. Why this? There's no criticism. So if anyone has any, for God's sake, please throw it at me. That is far more important to me than people patting me on the back. I mean, anyone can pat someone on the back, but it feels weird, especially when you're not used to it. I'd rather someone turn around and say, look, could you do it this way? Because I think it'd be better. So anything that can help me get better at this, make things either sound better, look better is, for me, currently secondary, but I need to get into doing that anyway. I've only just started playing around with cards and things, so expect that to start popping up here and there. But as I've discovered, doing cards for YouTube does not work like I thought it did. And I've got to restructure all the sizings on all of everything just to be able to put a card on and not have it block out all the info. So any kind of text at the front and backs of videos is basically lost because the cards block everything. So I need to restructure quite a lot of stuff over the next couple of weeks to make things fit better. So visually there may be a change coming up on the videos for the intros and outros, but there you go. And I really, really apologise for the Premiere audio. It's the best of the audios I can choose for doing the Premiere because I'm not basically syndicated, basically partnershiped. I cannot put my own intro on. I have to choose from the default selections, which basically means that out of all the selections that are there, the ambient one that you get on the countdown is the better one of it really is the one that fits the best. And it's kind of nice, but the problem is it's way, way too loud. It's deafening, to be fair. And although it sounds nice enough and it gets people mellowed out, you do have to adjust your volume quite a way down, because there's no way of me doing that because I have no control over it. That's all YouTube's end. So I apologise for the deafening that people have had when they've been listening to stuff and the Premiere comes up and then you're like, I can't hear anything, I'm deaf. Because the ambience and the reverb on that audio is just terrifying, especially when you're not expecting it. But overall, it's been a fun experience so far, and I do intend on continuing it. So, yeah, sorry, I'm rambling now. Right, how it all began, that's fine, that'll continue until part 1's finished, which is currently, we're about halfway through, roughly. Dragon General will get uploaded once this is finished, within a few hours. The first part, and then once my voice resettles, I'll do the rest. You have my word on that. I apologise, it's already 2 or 3 weeks late because of throat. So yeah, apologies again for that. The next one will be Fate of a Prime, which will be going up in tandem with the Dragon General once my voice is not sounding like a frog chorus. Ribbit. And Comrie will be put up in between Dragon General, Fate of a Prime, How It All Began. It'll be slotted in there somewhere. Plus there's an additional story for Thalassiac, who is a character which people may or may not have encountered yet, depending how far you've got through the parts. I believe he's been mentioned now. Somewhere between 13 and 15, I believe, off the top of my head. But after uploading so many, I'm like, I can't remember honestly which piece. I should have probably put a little description in each one, saying like a quick synopsis of what happens in each section. But I don't know. Do people think that might be a good idea? I mean, again, feedback. if you think a synopsis for each episode would be good so people know which one to jump to, let me know. You know, I can put a little description header at the front under the description for each video, if that helps people remember, if they want to remember, unless I'd rather just forget it. But again, feedback, useful criticism, useful feedback, that's one part of it. Should I do that? And then obviously additional videos, non-writing based or non-fantasy, Emanon based. I've got, like I say, I've got quite a few of those. Like if anyone wants to hear about the stories of Dave and his adventures, although Dave may have a name change, I'm not sure yet. But as a placeholder, Dave and his amazing adventures and sort of confrontations with the undead. Then those things will be placed up as well in time. And I'm trying to get it to the point where 2 or 3 uploads a week. But it's a lot of recording time, audio, and then obviously editing time. Anyone who does video editing knows it isn't a 30-second job. Even if you've got a top-end machine, which I don't have, it isn't a 30-second job and you're done. It's 2 or 3 times the length of your audio in recording, because anything that sounds odd, you go back and re-record that section. There's a lot of editing involved. And then after that, there's a lot of listening to it back, taking things out, checking it, listening to it. So like a 10-minute recording of audio could be an hour's work or longer. I mean, obviously, if you're a pro at this, it's probably, that 10 minutes is probably 15 tops. But me, I'm kind of not up on the editing as much as I used to be. So if I say an hour to faff around with different things, then fair enough. But then obviously you put that into your software and you start manually editing the video, putting in your effects or whatever. And I mean, although mine's really basic, it still takes me a while. And then obviously processing it and turning it into a video once it's been put through timelines, that takes time. And then obviously that's the computer doing the work at that point. That's you sitting there having a coffee and going, God, I hope this doesn't sound as bad as I think it does. And then the uploading and the faffing, and then, you know, from start to finish, it's probably, I'd say 3 to 4 hours for a 10 to 15 minute clip. And that's assuming you've got the files to hand and you're not having to manually make everything each time, which thankfully I'm not doing anymore. But it's not a quick process. If it was, then all this stuff would have been up by the end of January. I could have just recorded it all on the fly and not cared. But I wanted to at least make the audio not have deliberate screw ups in it. Take out the because no one likes heavy breathing when you got headphones on turned loud. It's just creepy. So I wanted to do things like take out the heavy breathing, or where I've had to have an intake. Take out obvious audible clicks and things that are from voice problems, or anything that sounds either creepy, weird, or just doesn't. No, it just doesn't sound nice. You know, it's like, right, okay, re-record that section because for some reason my voice decided to have a bit of a warble, or I cleared my throat and forgot. And then when I listen to it back, I'm like, damn it, I've got to take that out, or I've got to re-record that section. Like I say, a 10-minute recording is not a 10-minute recording. There's a lot more goes into it. So that's one of the reasons I can't just throw things up. It's a bit of a shame because I'd like to just waffle, get it up, done. But reality is, it ain't that easy. Not if you want to make sure that people can listen to it more than once, or even once without going, ew, that sounds weird, you know, or going, I don't like the way that sounds, or why is his voice going up and down all over the place? I want it to, you know, at least sound partially okay. I mean, after all, it means sitting there listening to my voice for 10 minutes, and if you can stomach that, congrats. I fucking love you, man. That's amazing. Thanks for putting up with me for that long. You know, it amazes me how people put up with me in day-to-day or face-to-face, because my voice, I think it drones a bit. But fingers crossed, things are okay, and everything will be running smooth now, apart from my voice. So keep an eye out, and I know this is very cliched, and I don't normally do it, but if you like a video, please click like. If you hate it, click dislike. I'd rather you hit the dislike than not click anything. I want, like I say, I want feedback, good or bad. But if you do hit the dislike, please comment and say why, because then I can improve and hopefully get that dislike revoked in future. But yeah, seriously, if you enjoy it, if you listen to it, just do me the favour or the courtesy of just clicking like, just so I'm aware that someone's actually watched it and it's not the same person watching it 6 times in a row. Because then I can gauge, in addition to obviously looking at a view count and going, oh wow, cool. It'd be nice if people who watch it and enjoy it actually click the like, because then I've got a feedback on how many people are actually watching it. And then if I see more than, say, 5 on a video, I know that, oh wait, the usual handful of suspects. There's more. There's more out there. This is amazing. I'm not just rambling to myself. Apologies there. Oh, and the voice is a little better. Okay, that's nice. But it would be nice to just be more aware myself of how many people are listening, enjoying, or in some of the other ones when they get uploaded, benefiting from the videos, or the audios, depending how you look at it. It really would help on the feedback side of it. I mean, it's a little thing, and I know every video you ever watch on YouTube is going to be, don't forget to click like and subscribe, and click the notification bell. It's like, if you don't want to do that, do not do it. It's like, I don't want to force anyone, no arms twisting here. It's just, it would be nice to know what kind of audience I'm batting to, if that makes sense. Same with the subscribes. Subscriptions would be fantastic, because all it is really, you're not paying for anything. It's just to basically put me in the pool with other people who listen to this, so that if anything goes off, YouTube might send me a little announcement. But if anyone wants to do any live chats, it's been set up as you've got to be a subscriber to do it. Now, obviously, you can subscribe then unsubscribe afterwards. There's no problem with that. No skin off my nose, and to be fair, that's fine. But again, it's metrics, so I can gauge responses and see who I'm interacting with. Because if, say, for instance, I upload 10 videos and only 3 people watch them, then I know that maybe I should slow this down. I don't intend to until I finish the How It All Began series, because my promise to a lot of people, about 40 in number currently, who actually physically know me, I promised I'd do this. I've been promising to put it out there for the past 15 plus years. And then after the initial write-up about 6 years ago, a lot of people have been badgering me pretty much monthly, weekly in some cases, almost daily in some too, to put this up there. And they wanted it as a hard copy, but I'm not confident enough to throw it out as a hard copy. I wanted to put it up there as an audio to gauge reaction before I even think about getting a physical copy done. And it's a case of gauging reaction, see if it's worth me pursuing it, because it's going to be a costly endeavour to get everything in something people can put on the shelf. And I need to know whether or not I'm going down the right route, whether it's people are actually interested, whether it's worth pursuing, basically. I'm not in it to make the money, I'm in it to get my content out there and see if people actually enjoy it. Because over the years, I know a lot of people have enjoyed it. I just want to see if more people are interested. And if it brings a bit of joy, a bit of a smile on some cases, I know some parts of the story people will be laughing at. I'm not going to say tropes, but I will say that some of the things some people will relate to quite heavily, and they may find some sections tear-jerking, which is the idea behind it. They're supposed to be. Um, so it's not like I've suddenly changed tact. The stories are how they are. Each character has their own motivations and has their own reasons for being. So yes, I will try and portray that as best I can in my limited way as a writer, but hopefully it comes across. But these are things which people either enjoy or don't enjoy. Some people like to read things and get the factual, and other people like the emotional. I'm hoping I'm able to put some semblance of both in there. But if not, again, feedback and tell me. For God's sake, tell me if I'm doing this wrong. That's, to me, far more important. You know, shaking hands and saying, okay, I enjoyed that. Fair enough, that's awesome. And thank you for the feedback. But shaking my hand and going, you know that last one? It sounded a bit, or it seemed a bit. That's the kind of feedback. As long as you can quantify it, that's fantastic, because that's more beneficial to everyone, because it makes me go, okay, that needs to change. People will enjoy that more. I've got multiple people saying they don't like the way that went, that didn't sound correct, or that felt wrong, or unless it's part of the story and it's leading somewhere, I will visit it and I will see if I can bring it up to spec. Your computer's not running properly, it's not fast enough, or it needs more memory, your hard drive's too slow or not too big. You effectively upgrade your part, and that's effectively what I want to do. If I'm not portraying things well enough in a certain avenue, then I will endeavour to get better. Based on, for instance, upgrade my RAM, for example, or upgrade the speed of a hard drive or capacity, or same kind of idea but for writing, whether it's vocab, whether it's my amazing lack of punctuation, whether it's the voices, because that's one of my pet peeves at the minute, is trying to do all the voices when my voice is all over the place most of the time. It's getting really, really difficult. And the problem is, to me, when I'm recording, it sounds like the voices are different. But obviously, when you play it back, it's like, ropey. So all I'm trying to get is some sort of distinct voice change, just to denote that they are different characters. So I apologise if it sounds really, really bad. But I am looking into getting one or two people who I know to do a few voices for me and sort of act them out. But it's whether or not they hook, line, and sinker it. If they go for it, then that'd be fantastic. But if not, it's not a problem. I'm looking into sorting out voice changing hardware and software and getting myself a decent rig sorted. But the cost is excessive. So for the time being, it's frogs to the front, and fingers crossed I don't make it sound too much like a guy talking in monotone, doing another voice talking in monotone that sounds like the voice doing an impression of that voice. I will try and denote that by I'll try my best basically. So I apologise if the voices sound how can I put it, the same. It does get kind of difficult, especially if you flip in between 4 or 5 voices in a conversation, which is going to be coming up in some of the episodes for the Dragon General. It's going to be challenging remembering which voice intonation to use when, and what voice change to use when you're not actually using any software, you're just trying to do it yourself. And mics don't pick up very well. You've got to keep the tone and the audio down to a certain level. The mic doesn't basically spack out and totally screw up the recording, like too much volume. Oh no, the mic's decided that's not a good thing. Doesn't like that, because I'm not working with a proper studio mic. It's not like I've got a professional sort of like singing setup. We are talking like basic condenser mics, so there's nothing fancy, nothing that's going to like if I shout, at a mic, which I need to do for some sections. I've tried it and the mic just screams back no. So it's things like that. But as I'm rambling again, sorry, got distracted. Right, okay, I was trying to wind this up like 15 minutes ago. Right, so basically, yes, I'm going to be doing other things in addition to this. So it's not like I'm putting everything on hold to do other things. The only hold I have at the minute is my voice. As you can hear, it's changed at least 3 times throughout this recording. And when I coughed, I was like, oh, I got my voice back, but it's gone straight back to this again, which is bloody annoying. And I can't keep coughing throughout when talking, because, you know, it just doesn't sound right, does it? It's horrid. But yes, recordings are going up as and when. Already recorded stuff is ready to go. Dragon Journal will be up shortly. How it all began to continue. Sorry, it's not what I was thinking of. Fall of a Prime. That's it. That'll be the next one set up, and then the one after that will be Lady Comrie. So there will be, in the next month, I should imagine, there should be 3 to 4 different stories up, not just the one. So you may find that the style of each story is slightly different because it's not being told from the same perspectives. So you will feel there's different changes in each of them, which is kind of how I want it. But it'll be the same style of writing, it'll just be a different pace, if that makes sense. So hopefully, if this one isn't to your liking that's up currently, one of the other ones maybe. But I'll also try and add in, as I say, more graphical stuff to the ones coming up. Dragon General is kind of the test bed for that. If it turns out it doesn't work too well, I can always re-upload with different imagery or a different style. Or I'm still playing it. It's this is still I'm only like 3 months in, so without feedback, this is what you get. Or give me feedback so I can adjust and make it more likable. Because to me, that would be far more beneficial all round for me for growing as a kind of recorder and creator, and obviously it's more beneficial for people listening because if I get the feedback and I improve, then it makes the listening quality and the listening experience better. So it's not a kind of I want this for myself thing. It's more a case of I want this feedback to be able to be better for people like yourselves. I just hope people who listen to this actually take it on board and give me the goddamn feedback. Because without it, like I say, I'm throwing things at a wall and praying they stay. Whoa, hello. Oh, and speaking of feedback, thank you very much. Okay, awesome. That was totally not expected, but one of my friends who is a long-standing putter-upper of my nonsense has just texted me to suggest a couple of things. I will address that shortly. So yeah, thank you, that person. I'm not going to name you because I want to make sure that's okay before I make any such things like that. But yes, if anyone wants to send, like I say, send anything over, that's fine. Credit where credit's due as far as I'm concerned. You will be credited for it, and I will ask permission to use it in everything I do for each instance. So if you decide I don't want it to be associated with that anymore, I'll retroactively pull it out. It literally, I want to work with people if they want to throw me artwork, because I know how much artwork means to people, and exposure's one thing, but it's like if you're out and about, exposure's one thing, but exposure in the wrong circumstance, no one likes that. So I just want to make sure that credit's given if it's due. Sorry, that text is just yeah, that's cool. I think I owe someone a beer. But yes, in general, things are going to go a bit smoother now. Things are going to work better, and yeah, I've God damn it, I can't believe I've rambled this long. This was only supposed to be a 5-minute update of what's going off, and yeah, we're hitting 50 minutes now. I apologise for keeping people this long if you've listened this far. Yeah, seriously, apologies. But one last thing, there is a donation link if anyone wants to donate, and any donations are going to be transparently done. The amounts should be when I start streaming at some point, if I do manage to find anyone to stream alongside, because I want people to Q&A, live questions, etc. If that's something people want to do, then I will be noting down and doing a running checklist of not who. There won't be a visible who's paid me anything. I don't want that. That's private. But I will do a running total, and I will, for anyone who wants it, I will show props of literally what I will be purchasing, and the majority of it will be going towards picking up hardware, whether that be an upgrade or a decent mic and boom setup and basically just decent recording stuff. But one of the first things I've bookmarked at the minute, because I do have a couple of mics now. They're all variant and they're all not brilliant, but they've done so okay so far. But one of the main things I'm looking at picking up is an external hardware setup for voice mixing, so I can literally on the fly change between voices, because at the moment the software isn't particularly great for it. It seems to do the job, but it's not the way I work. I'm more of a tactile, you know. I'm not, how can I put this? If you were doing music, I'd prefer to be mixing the decks instead of standing at the back pushing a button, if that makes sense. Actual hands-on, as opposed to sort of like hit a slide bar. Yeah, I can't really explain it. It's the tactile response is something that, to me, probably because I'm used to making stuff and doing stuff with my hands, that's probably why to me it feels like it should be better for me. So I was looking at picking up a physical deck, something like some sort of streaming deck. I mean, there's tons out there, but I wanted something with say a 16 bank programmable, which can be functioned across to do 32 or 64. So I can literally have all the voice change settings set up, and I can mark them all down as, for example, the nameless one could have his own audio shift. Krilsis would have his own audio shift. Anyone in the text that has their own voice, I want to actually set up a totally automated system where I can go, touch that, I'm now talking as this person, touch that, I'm now talking as this person, so that when I do recordings, it makes everything smoother, makes everything simpler, and it also makes everything sound better for everyone. I mean, imagine if you were doing a recording and you had, like, I don't know, Morgan Freeman talking to Patrick Stewart, talking to Brian Blessed. One person trying to do any kind of imitation of all three of those, unless they are very, very good, it's going to sound like a mess. It really is. But if I could have something like that set up, obviously not with those three personalities, but with, say, all the people in the conversation, I could just touch between them, then the audio experience for everybody, not just me recording, but everybody listening, would be 1,000 times better. You know, you'd actually have an image in your head of that person. You'd actually have a voice you can relate to, and as soon as you hear it, you know, I know exactly who that is. Or, yes, I know that person. As opposed to how it currently stands, which is, well, he's making that funny noise again. I think that's that mage geezer. Yeah, it's just not the same. So yeah, that's one of the main things I'm looking at the minute. And obviously a professional mic to get my voice up, to get the levels sorted, get the recording accuracy and vibrance better, because this little condenser mic is great for gaming, but let's face it, anything that can make my voice sound better has got to be a plus, especially if you're stuck listening to it for an hour. So yeah, if anyone decides to want to donate, then there's a PayPal link there. I've also put a Ko-fi link up now. Ko-fi. Yeah, Ko-fi. Yeah. I know people say it differently, but basically there's a Ko-fi link there as well. Also, should be setting up a Facebook page soon to basically direct people who are not aware of the channel or want to be kept updated or contact me. They'll also be aware of contacting me there, as well as having a presence. And Twitch is already set up, I just haven't got around to sorting out streaming or setting Twitch up properly. So I've been concentrating on getting YouTube sorted, and then I can port all the stuff over to Twitch. The only last thing I need to do at the minute is sort my logo out and sort out 2 avatars for Karnefos. And then it's done. Everything at that point will be set, and it won't matter which platform you're on. If you want to be involved, or you want to address something, or you want to just be part of the journey, you'll be able to just, whatever platform, just click. And, you don't have to follow me and everything, because who needs to, It's me. Meh. But anyone who wants to, on any platform, should be able to just go, always on Twitch, always on YouTube, he's got a Facebook presence, always, he's there. You will be able to just sort of like go, which one? I'll go with that one. Jump to it, because they'll all interlink, as everything is nowadays. Just to make life easier. I know I'm starting to flounder here because the ums are coming out quite a lot, and I apologise for that. I just feel weird, sort of like trying to plug a donation thing, because it is. I've never asked for stuff like that, and I feel weird about it. But the truth is, if it helps me get the hardware I need to make things sound better and get this off the ground in a more constructive and professional manner, then I've got to do it some way. So anyone that does donate, thank you very much. And for the one person who has currently donated on, I set up the PayPal, and within like 20 minutes, someone had already jumped in there. You, sir, are a legend, and I know this is well over a month ago when you did this, but again, shout out to you, mate. Much appreciated. And yes, thank you. Thank you very much. You know who you are. I'm not going to throw your name out because, like I say, unless you're fine with it, I'm not going to. And if I did, I wouldn't use second names because, anonymity to a point. At least I want some sort of like label I can throw at you so you know who you are. And so, other people can be aware that, that person exists. And if they feel the need to, they can ask you. But yeah, thanks. I'll just say J, because they'll know who they are then. That's not their name, by the way, but they'll know. So Jay, thank you very much for your donation. Much appreciated. Even though, like I said to you, tongue in cheek, but thanks ever so much, mate. It means a lot, and it was also nice to know that the link works. So yeah, thank you very much. The last thing before I go, which I was trying to get to a long while ago now. Jeez. I do plan on doing a Q&A live stream. I don't know when it's going to be because I am waiting on feedback from you lovely people. When at least one of you actually says, yes, please do a live stream, I have questions, and I can then correspond with that person to sort out when to do it. The AMA kind of stream will not be happening until I get someone else there, because there's no point having a live stream if you're live streaming to yourself, especially when the idea is to get questions thrown at you. It just doesn't work. So that said, thank you very much for listening if you have listened this far. And if you have, I appreciate your time and I appreciate the devotion to listening to some random guy randomly ramble on. Have a great day or evening if it's that time of day, or morning if it's 3 in the morning and you can't sleep and you're so bored to listen to someone put you to sleep that you chose this. Take care, and from me, Karnefos, goodbye for now.